All right, everyone, welcome to this video. In this one, we're going to work on cross tabulations with controls or with a control. And what that means is we're going to add, cross tabulation is looking at the relationship between two variables. We're going to add a third variable into the mix. And the reason why we do that is we might want to see if the pattern of the two variables is consistent across another variable. Let me use a specific example. So in the previous video on cross tabulations, we were looking at how people's education levels affects their support of abortion rights. And we were seeing that notice here, as education increases, so does support for abortion as a matter of choice, right? We go from 55% in high school to 62% in university to 68% in grad school, okay? That's how many people support, and we see an increase in support among, as we go up in education level. Now, we might think, okay, but we also know that as people become more educated, that's usually associated with being more liberal, right, or identifying as a Democrat. So we might want to know, does this pattern, does this relationship, does it exist regardless of the party that people identify with? So does education make Democrats, independents, and Republicans more accepting of abortion rights or more supportive of abortion rights? Okay. And now part of this too we might think, again, going back to the kind of the logic here, we might think that this influence of education on support for abortion rights, we might think that that's actually just a consequence of the relationship between education and being a Democrat or being liberal. So this test will help us untangle that possibility. Okay. Down here, what I have is a variable that I recoded. It's looking at how many people are Democrat, Independent, and Republican. Right, 1, 2, 3. To add this party ID variable to this crosstab, I'm going to go to Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, and Crosstabs. Now, as you remember from the last video on crosstabs, the cause, in this case, education, right, is going to go in the column section. The effect, attitudes towards abortion, goes in the rows. That third variable goes in this layer, okay? And I'm going to go down to my party ID. We go PID3 recode. Okay, and I'm going to make sure that my cells, I'm going to uncheck this observed counts is usually checked. I'm going to make sure I have percentages column checked. Okay, that looks good, ready to go, continue. Let's click OK. And now this is what we get. So notice what's happened. We have our abortion education crosstab multiplied 3 times. Right, we have a education abortion crosstab for each party ID. Okay, so let's take a look what happens, the effect of education on attitudes towards abortion across the 3 party IDs. For Democrats, high school, 77% support, jumps up to 86 in university, and then 88 in grad school. Okay, so there's clearly an increase. The increase really is between high school and university. Independents, they go from 57 in high school to 59 in university to 61 in grad school. So there is an increase, but it's much slighter. When it comes to Republicans, they go from 31 to 27 and then remains at 27. So for Republicans, there's actually a decrease. Education doesn't seem to change Republicans' attitudes towards abortion. If it changes them at all, it actually makes them less supportive of abortion rights, right? So you can pretty much, there's some evidence here to suggest that education really the influence is through making people more liberal, and the fact that they're more liberal means that they're more likely to support abortion rights, right? So another way of phrasing that is that the influence of education on abortion rights is not it doesn't have the same influence across the spectrum of party ID. Okay, and this is an interesting finding, right? Maybe let's say this in a bit more. I'm trying to simplify how we would phrase this. Education does not have an effect on Republican attitudes towards abortion, right? Or it doesn't have a liberalizing effect, right? There's all kinds of ways that we can think of phrasing this result, but this is the basic idea, right? You have your original crosstab, you have this other variable that you think might be involved, or maybe you think that this original relationship isn't the same across, right, some other variable, and then you do your crosstab with a control, and you have now your 3 crosstab tables, and because you have 3 values in this control variable. Okay, and that's about it. Hope that helped.